Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into a super common error code that pops up on a lot of Jeep, Dodge, and Chrysler vehicles. P0128, if you've plugged in your scanner and seen this code, don't panic. It sounds a bit technical, but it's usually a straightforward fix. P0128 stands for Coolant Thermostat Malfunction, which basically means your engine's computer thinks the engine is on warming up as quickly as it should. It's essentially telling you that the coolant temperature is staying too low for too long. So, what are the symptoms you might notice besides the check engine light? The most obvious one is your temperature gauge. You might see it sitting lower than its usual spot, maybe only climbing to a quarter of the way up instead of its normal halfway mark. Or you might notice it takes forever to get there, especially on colder days. Another big sign is your heater. If you're re-cranking up the heat and all you're re-getting is lukewarm or even cold air blowing out, that's a classic symptom. This happens because the heater core relies on hot engine coolant to warm up the cabin. If the coolant isn't hot, you're not getting heat. You might also see a slight dip in your fuel economy, as the engine runs a bit richer when it thinks it's still in its warm-up phase. So, what's causing this? 99% of the time, the culprit is a faulty thermostat. Your thermostat is a simple, spring-loaded valve that controls the flow of coolant. When the engine is cold, it stays closed to help the engine warm up quickly. Once the coolant reaches a specific temperature, usually around 195 to 205 degrees Fahrenheit, the thermostat opens up, allowing coolant to flow to the radiator to be cooled down. With the P0128 code, the thermostat is usually stuck open. This means that even when the engine is cold, coolant is constantly flowing to the radiator. This makes it very difficult for the engine to reach its optimal operating temperature, especially when you're driving at speed and air is rushing through the radiator. Now, let's find this thermostat. On most Jeep, Dodge, and Chrysler engines, like the popular 3.6-liter Pentest V6 or the Hemi V8 South, the thermostat is located in a housing right where the upper radiator hose connects to the engine. It's usually pretty easy to spot. Just follow that big, thick hose from the top of your radiator back to the engine block. You'll find a metal or plastic housing held on by a couple of bolts. That's where your thermostat lives. Before you jump into replacing it, there's a quick check you should do first. Pop your hood and check your coolant level. Make sure the engine is cool before you do this. Look at the coolant overflow reservoir. The level should be between the min and max lines. If it's low, that could potentially cause temperature reading issues, though it's less likely to cause a P0128 specifically. Still, it's good practice to ensure your coolant is topped up. If the level is fine, you can be pretty confident the thermostat is the problem. Alright, let's talk about the fix. You're going to need to replace the thermostat. It's a job you can definitely do yourself with some basic tools. First, make sure the engine is completely cool. You'll need to drain some of the coolant, so get a drain pan ready. You don't have to drain the whole system, just enough to get the level below the thermostat housing. You can do this by opening the petcock at the bottom of the radiator or by simply disconnecting the lower radiator hose, which can be a bit messier. Once the coolant is drained, you can remove the bolts holding the thermostat housing in place. There are usually just two. Once you pull the housing off, the thermostat will be right there. Pay attention to how it's oriented before you pull it out. The new thermostat needs to go in the same way. The new part often comes with a new gasket or O-ring. Always use the new one. Clean up the mating surfaces on the engine and the housing to ensure a good seal. Then, pop the new thermostat in, put the housing back on, and tighten the bolts. Now, reconnect your hoses, and it's time to refill the coolant. Use the correct type of coolant specified for your vehicle. Don't just grab any generic green stuff. Modern cars are very particular. Mix it 50/50 with distilled water unless you bought a pre-mixed solution. Fill the system slowly to avoid creating air pockets. After it's full, you'll need to bleed the air out. Some vehicles have a bleeder screw on the thermostat housing to help with this. If not, you can start the engine with the radiator cap off and let it run. Turn your heater on full blast. As the engine warms up, you'll see air bubbles coming out of the radiator neck. Keep topping up the coolant as the level drops. Once the thermostat opens and you get a steady stream of coolant with no bubbles, you're good. Put the cap back on, check for leaks, and clear the P0128 code with your scanner. Take it for a drive, and you should see your temp gauge sitting right where it belongs. And that's it. You've just fixed the P0128 code. It's a satisfying repair that saves you a trip to the mechanic. I hope this guide was helpful. If it was, give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more DIY car repair tips. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.